boxing is missing one or two things these days. Fighters not fighting enough. Fighters not wanting to be great enough. Some are, absolutely, and the ones that are should be praised big time. But what I think boxing's really missing are the teachers.
Boxing.
How's it going? Welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well today. I've been really excited and wanting to make this video for a long time now. I've been chipping away at it. It's taken some time, but this video is obviously about BREADMAN Edwards, trainer of Caleb Plant, trainer of Julian Williams, and you know, somebody that I think is a dying breed, hence the title. You know, he has that teacher's soul and that old soul feel about him, you know, like the old school teachers and trainers in boxing that have come and gone, and there's a couple still around. But I think, you know, BREADMAN Edwards has that. He's cut from that same cloth. I know he's still young in the game. He's still got a lot to prove with regards to the Emmanuel Stewards and Eddie Futches. You know, these are big names, and Virgil Hunters, Nazim Richardson. But I think from a spiritual perspective, like as a person, he carries the same energy for me. You know, he seems like a very good, moral, honest guy, and he really cares about his fighters, and he has a lot of passion and a lot of love for the sport, and he stays out of all the BS in boxing, you know, as most people do. But you know, he just loves the sport, loves training, and you know, I think he hopefully, if he sticks around the sport, can do some really good things and, you know, make his mark in this sport, because you know, he is mentored by Virgil Hunter.
But the two guys that like helped me the most, because the Philly trainers, a lot of them is haters. I'm gonna be honest with you. They don't like want to see nobody succeed, and I didn't have like somebody say put their arm around me and go. I didn't have that, but I sat and I watched Nazim Richardson from afar, and he befriended me, and we would talk on the phone. He didn't teach me how to train, but I picked up little things from him. I picked up how optimistic he was. I picked up how he talked his guys through around. I don't know if you ever hear me. Like, I did it naturally, but I picked up on how he is. Like, if you hear me on the mic, people say that my voice carries. Like, in real life, I don't really talk loud like that. But in the ring, I'm like, you know, good shot, man. Move to your left, move to your right. Keep your jab going. Like, I learned that from Nazim. And the other guy who probably helped me the most, who reached out to me and was like, told me, like, I think you're a good young trainer. I heard about you, man. I heard you doing your thing. You got a kid that wasn't a national level kid, but you know, you're doing good with him. And he asked somebody for my number, and we became really close friends from then on, and that was Virgil Hunter. Yep, he reached out to me in like 2011, and we probably talk like once a week to this day.
You know, he was also mentored by Nazim Richardson. You know, he's from Philadelphia, a fighting city. You know, that is one hell of a fighting city. Look at the fighters that have come out of there, from your Joe Lewis's to Georgie Benton to nowadays you got Boots Ennis and Stephen Fulton, and I'm probably missing a whole ton. I don't want to get any problems in the comments if I've missed any, like, but it's a fighting city, you know, and you know, he comes from there, so they understand boxing a little deeper typically. And you know, you could say that about places in the Midwest as well. It's just something that they're taught. I don't quite know what it is yet, but it fascinates me. Maybe, you know, in a few years I'll understand it a bit more, because I'm going to be doing some more research on that. But he talks to Virgil Hunter on a weekly basis. You know, I think Virgil Hunter might have even reached out to him. So what does that tell you? You know, like they're of the same ilk, you know, they really are. And You know, his energy and his care for fighters. You know, the story with him and Julian Williams. You know, you just don't hear stories like this very often, where he literally will pay, and he gave so much to Julian Williams as he was coming up.
Because he was frustrated because he didn't have no money. He lived on his own. He just was frustrated. So I'm like, look, I'm not gonna spoil you, but I'm gonna make sure that the ends meet till we get to this point. And I told him, I said, I'm never gonna take a big percentage from you. You gonna go home with 80% of your money after you pay your whole team. All I need for you to do is shut your mouth and box. Man, I just did it because I'm just that kind of guy. I just looked at the kid and I knew he didn't have nobody, and I knew that, like, it was all or nothing for him.
And it was genuine love and it was genuine care. And that was his first fighter that he'd ever trained. And he got a world champion out of him.
And the new unified super welterweight champion of the world, Julian J.
For that fight, I'm going to talk a bit more into detail on game plans and strategies and training camps and stuff throughout this video, and all the video clips that I do show as well from Boxing Voice and maybe Showtime, and there might be in another one. Just want to give respect to them and thank you for letting me use it. It's all content love, so I just wanted to get that out there. But you know, for Julian Williams, like for example, 2 training camps, you know, he with the Centennial win, Hugo Centennial, he understood that Centennial had a good jab, so he kind of went against the grain and said, we're gonna jab with him.
Remember, Julian was fighting a dude by the name of Hugo Centennial.
I remember Hugo.
Every single interview, all he talked about was his jab and how tall he was, how he had the reach advantage, and he was going to outbox him. I said, man, we're going to put a jab on him. The shorter guy can out-jab the taller guy if you jab from a certain angle. Julian wasn't as tall as he was, but he was longer than him. And I was like, length is more important than height, because you could jab up like this and jab the shit out of him. Watch that fight on you. That kid quit in the 4th round, and they made it seem like it was something wrong with his eye. Had a little cut on his eye. And I'm saying that to say is, everybody's infatuated with their gifts until the gifts don't work no more.
Because he understood how to negate the jab, and this is another sign of amazing trainers. When you do things, you follow your heart and you go against what most people might think conventional wisdom, to not do that. You know, he believes in himself, he believes in his ability, and he can get his message through to his fighters, which is just ginormous. And even in the Jarrett Hurd fight, a lot of people were thinking Julian Williams should box off the back foot, and you know, and he's like, we ain't gonna win a decision like that, we need to fight this dude.
When Julian was fighting Hurd, I never even told nobody what my game plan was gonna be, because I knew somebody was gonna say, man, he can't fight that strong dude in the box like that, he gonna get knocked out. I knew everybody was gonna say that, so I never told nobody. We wasn't running from that motherfucker in his hometown. We wasn't gonna get the decision. They was gonna rob us anyway.
Sure enough, Julian Williams was on the inside with this guy Jarrett Hurd for a while, and he was banging with him and he was beating him up, and it was a tough fight. And you just see at the end of it how much it meant to both of them. I mean, I know world titles often do that, but this one seemed like, you know, it was just more, because they went through so much. He sacrificed so much for Julian Williams, you know, you just don't hear that. And this is going back to Manny Stewart, and I'm sure Futch too, and like, you know, Manny Stewart used to just really care for fighters and let them stay with him and stuff like this. You know, you can imagine these trainers are in the gym in the morning, like first thing in the morning, like, and they're the last to leave, and they're cleaning up their own gym, and you know, they just love it. You know, they love it. And you look at the energy of these trainers, and they have a lot of soul, you know, and they're just good men. They're good people, and that matters sometimes. A lot of times when you're trying to get through to fighters and you get that bond, you know, that trainer-fighter relationship is really important. And it's interesting to see him and Caleb Plant flourish right now. I know Plant put in a decent performance against Canelo, and he was expected to beat Durrell, I think. But, you know, I think he's got a lot to prove in the Benavidez fight, and I think he's going to be just fine. I've got a video coming out about that very soon. A little breakdown with a little, you know, artistic twist, as I try to do on these videos. I try to do something a little different and just give it a theme and stuff like that. I'm slowly getting there, but that'll be coming out soon. But, you know, in terms of BREADMAN and where he's at with Caleb Plant now, well, listen, look, this last training camp he had, this is really interesting to me anyway. And if you're a boxing fan, I think you might find this interesting. He did an interview, I think it was Fight Hype, shout out to them. And, you know, he was talking about what they did in the training camp. You know, like the preparation basically, and you know what he said, you know, we were fighting Durrell, so he's a crunk fighter, so he understood that they were gonna come for that right hand, and, you know, straight down the middle and try and knock you out, which is to try and line you up. So he spoke about that, and they prepared for that. Then he also got him to check his emotions, because there was a lot of beef going into that with Durrell. Well, isn't that perfect fitting for this Benavidez fight, which you could argue has got even more beef behind it? So he's already implemented that, and obviously that worked. It turned out great. And in fact, the KO punch, he was talking about the cadence of practicing the cadence in his punches, which I found fascinating.
You know, so we was working on changing the cadence, like bop, bop, like bop, 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 bop. You know, we was changing the cadence. If you notice, he knocked him out. He hit him with a hook. It was like bop, bop.
You know, and I'll leave the clip right now, but he's talking about, you know, just changing up the rhythm, changing up the cadence. Now, I'd love to know why he would want to do that against Durrell. I'm not saying he shouldn't have. I would love to know the thought process behind that. Another thing that struck me is that he actually opened up and said these things, because he's a very honest man. He says a lot of things. He doesn't like necessarily care about hurting people's feelings or saying this or saying that, and I love that. You gotta respect that. He's an old school dude. You know, he actually had a little mini falling out with Julian Williams because he was getting on him for not working hard enough, which, you know, many trainers do, but not everybody does, because they don't want to mess up the bag.
And then after that, you know, he got in his feelings because I told him that he was slacking off. And then he went away from me for a year and like 8 months. And, you know, we had our program, we did our thing, and coming back, you know, he got to make up for the lost time.
And he's like, you know, he just keeps it real with his fighters. And again, I've got the master. See, training isn't all just about the X's and O's and what can you teach this person about certain skills. Yes, that's very important, but there's a lot of other important things about how you articulate, how you get your message across, you know, the relationship, the bond, you know, how much you care and what you're doing. And he, you know, and sometimes fighters don't want to be told certain things. You know, fighters are very sensitive. Boxers are very sensitive. So I love that. You know, he was willing to just, you know, rustle the feathers, and I think it rustled his feathers, Julian Williams' feathers from the interview. I'll try and find the clip and I'll leave it, but, you know, again, he's just an all-out trainer, and he wants the best for his fighters. And the cadence thing just was fascinating with what he said with Plant in that interview, because when you're dealing with getting a game plan accurately and tight, and then it coming to fruition every fight, you know, like the Centennial one, the Julian Williams one, the Plant one. I mean, he's onto something here, you know. So I think they're gonna have a great plan for Benavidez. This video isn't about Benavidez. Yeah, this video isn't about Benavidez or Plant, but this is, you know, leading up to it. So it's always interesting. Then his corner work, okay, he said this, he got a lot. He used to study Nazim Richardson and how he used to speak in the corner and implements that. But not only that is he had this fighter, well, he has, I think he still has this fighter called Ochoa, who fought Brandon Lee on the Butayev Stanionis undercard, and in the corner, you know, it was like 8 rounds in, Ochoa was just on his back for backpedaling, not really looking to try to win the fight that much. You know, Brandon Lee's got a bit of power, well, quite a lot of power, so he's backtracking, he's losing the fight, and Breadman steps up and you know, Ochoa was like, he's like, you know, he got to me or something. He's like, what? He just dismissed it, and he's like, come on, man, we got a fight to win.
I want to see you go for it. Look at me. I want to see you go for it. We ain't come here the whole way to not go for it, all right? I want to see you go for it a little bit, all right? Stay tight and stay low, all right? Huh? You got me with a body shot? No. All right, but you are now, all right?
And Ochoa turned it around. He didn't win the fight, but he listened to him, and he really got the belief from him and the instructions. You know, there's like, it's just great to see that. You should think that would be a norm, but it's not. You know, a lot of trainers don't see certain things, they don't have the right things to say, they don't know how to articulate it, they don't. I mean, I've seen it over and over back in watching HBO, and it's just the amount of times the training team just dropped the ball with just shocking situations that you're just like, what the hell? But not Breadman. You know, he's an all-out trainer, and you know, that's why I wish. And I'm not saying, you know, there aren't other people like him. You know, there's probably hundreds, maybe thousands of trainers that you don't know, or we don't know about. And one of them that I know, actually, I'm just going to speak on this, and that's like at Gleason's gym, Don Saxby. As family, he's referred to me as family. You know, I've known him for 12 years. He's a teacher. You know, he's a teacher, and the kids that look up to him and like literally like as a father, you know, it's just inspiring, and he gets the most out of his fighters.
We go to his body when you get close. We didn't shoot over the top. You see the slow right hand. We worked on this. Don't tell me you see it. I want to see you start putting the hands together.
He really cares. And he really understands how to get through to people as a father figure, and it's like, it's a rare trait, you know, passion and obsession. And in fact, Don said, you need to be obsessed if you want to be successful at boxing. It's probably the true statement too for most things in life, you know, like there's got to be, if you want to be successful, you need to be obsessed. So yeah, I'll be keeping, you know, not a close eye. I'll be watching all of his fights and all of his fighters now, because you know, I can't get enough of this guy's interviews, and I urge you, if you're really interested, just to watch a full interview, and just, if you're a good judge of character, I'm a pretty good judge of character, I think you'll see that this is a really good man who's going to do some great things in the sport, hopefully. I say hopefully because, like, I think he has a lot of other things going on in terms of, well, let me change that. I think he's doing okay for himself. Like, you know, I think was in a financial stable place where he could help Julian Williams, which was amazing, but I think he's generally okay. So where I'm going with this is, you know, unless he's got, like, you know, he's got a family, you know, and he's got kids and stuff like that, and he really makes you know, that was part of the negotiations about how he wanted to see his kids and stuff, as you'd expect, but like, he's a real family man. So whether that boxing would get in the way with that, I don't know.
I got a 10 and 11 year old. I'm active in their life. I can't go 2 months without seeing my children. It's going to be some weekends I got to go home, you know, like I want to see my son football games, little stuff like that. That may not be important to other people, but that's important to me.
You know, I hope he's successful with Caleb and gets more fighters. That's usually what will happen, you know. He's already making a name for himself, and I think, you know, if people did their research and looked into how much this guy cared and how much he knows and his success that he's having, I think, you know, it's only a matter of time before he gets more fighters. But that's it from me. I mean, I've just been rambling. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. If I did, I'll just leave it in the end, or, you know, I'll write it down on the bottom, because I've been wanting to do this video for a while, and like I said, it just takes a bit of time. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think about Breadman. If you know anything else about him that you find interesting, put it in the comments section. Hit the like button if you really enjoyed the video, and I will try to get my Benavidez Plant, the Bull and the Matador video out soon. That's another fairly large project, but I've got a bit of time for that because the fight's not until the 25th. For now, be well, have a great week. I don't even know what day this video is going to get out, so whatever you do, man, have a good one. I'll see you soon. Boxing on the Edge.
Best trainer in boxing right now is?
Man, I ain't gonna say nobody better than me, man. I'm gonna say Stephen Edwards.
Okay.
I can't. I mean,
all right, there you
I'm
go.
not gonna say
From the
nobody
layup.
better than me, man.
That was
That's
a layup.
Like, what you think I'm gonna say?